into it.
I literally hate both of you. And welcome to the Down in Front podcast, the official podcast of downinfrontpodcast.com. I'm your host, Warren. What's up, guys? How's it going?
Yo.
Beautiful. That was nice. They had a little like harmony in there. That was beautiful. I like that.
Melody and harmony. We all work in unity. Sorry, go ahead.
That sounds like a Spiderman tune.
Yeah, I think it's lyrics to some really terrible 60s pop song.
Spider Pig. We're excited. What we're going to be doing is just going to be us hanging out. We're going to be giving you a full review of Game Night, literally one of the newer movies that came out, one of the hard R movies starring Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams, and a bunch of amazing other casts. It's going to be Bluid, it's going to be Brylan and myself. We're going to be hanging out, but before we get into the review, we're going to toss it over as we normally do and says, Brylan, what you been sipping on and what you watching?
Hello, good evening. Right now, what I'm sipping on is I just decided to keep it plain. Just got a nice bottle of water next to me right now. And what I've been watching is I watched the second half of season 1 of The Tick on Amazon Prime. The first half of the season, I really enjoyed it. I thought they had some really cool, quirky elements that make The Tick, but also they added this really nice dark undertones. As far as the second half, I felt like they lost some of their steps along the way. Like it didn't really feel like they explored like the more psychological things they were setting up in the first half, like how author thought the Tick was a figment of his imagination for a point in time. Thought they could play around with that a little bit more. But Overkill continues to be like the best character in this show, especially since he hires Ubers just like anybody else. Like when the Uber comes up to him, he goes, Alejandro, and then he just gets in the car. It's just perfect.
That's all. I haven't had a chance to like watch it. I really, really want to watch that.
You want to watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also there's this talking dog in it that I thought was fantastic as well. And him and Overkill have some great moments. So it's watchable, kind of a little let down, but I'm still going to be looking out for the next season of it. Still well made.
And that dropped within the last week on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah, it was last week like 2 weeks ago on Amazon Prime.
Cool. Well, that is The Tick and Mouth of the South, Brylan. Always great to have you and always great to see your face.
Thank you.
Hopefully soon. I'm going to toss it over to Mike the Shredder. How's it going? Looking mighty fit. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I did a push-up a couple days ago. It was arduous. Yeah, it's going pretty good. I am, like Bryland, drinking from the same nectar plant. Just drinking some water. It's grade A. I have been watching some stuff. I finally started End of the Freaking World, which has been solid. I'm censoring it for all the children that listen to our...
Oh, okay.
It's
okay.
Yeah.
It's a fucking.
but yeah, that, and I was recommended watching this movie called The Ritual. It's a Netflix horror film that I was a big fan of. It was a good recommendation. It was scary, but not like cheap, but not like overly heady at the same time. Like it was a good mixture. I liked it.
So it was like a nice Sam Adams, right?
Yeah. Just wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but I fully enjoyed it and would go back for more.
So like a Sam Adams.
Exactly.
Well, as always, thank you, Shredder, for having you. Hopefully I can see more of your music and shows in person, so I'm excited about that. And I'm Warren. I will be your host this evening. I am currently sipping on some Trader Joe's wine, box wine. Nothing fancy, but all too fancy, if you know what I mean. And what I've been binging, literally, I have not been able to leave my room. I haven't been social. I haven't gone anywhere. I have declined so many social outings because I cannot stop watching The Crown. This show has taken over my life. I'm very glad that I just finished season 2 today. And I started. Yeah, I started The Crown, I want to say last Friday, and I'm done. I also watched the Frankenstein Chronicles in that time span. And I also seen Black Panther again. That's all. Yeah. And I saw Annihilation in that time frame too. I did a lot. I did a lot, but mainly was The Crown. That show is quite phenomenal. I like the fact that I do compare Gary Oldman to John Lithgow, and it's very interesting to see both of them play Winston Churchill. I think that was a pretty interesting sort of way of doing it. One, like Gary Oldman did a bunch more makeup. John Lithgow literally didn't do any makeup, but somehow he looked like him a little bit.
It was all movements.
Yeah. But I mean, I would say I would definitely recommend the show's on Netflix. It is. There's a reason why I binged it. It's just so good. Claire Foy, who stars as like the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, was absolutely amazing in the show, hands down. I really hope she get a bunch of awards, and I really hope more and more people watch the show because it's just so good. Even from like all the other side characters and main characters that kind of come and go, and she's just like the rock that's still standing there and just dealing with all this shit around her. It's just such a great and like inspiring show to see, especially that we've seen from the Oscars, right? We're now seeing more and more, at least we will need to see more and more of these women like starring as like the center focal point, or at least have a little more like kind of equal sort of showing from them. So it's definitely awesome. And the show's amazing. So definitely go check out the Crown season 2. And I believe they're talking about season 3 is going to drop some point. They haven't did the release date, but it's going to be 10 years. So they're actually recasting everybody right now. Yeah,
which is kind of a bummer because these actors have been fantastic. And like, how do you replace that level of excellence that they brought to it? Like, I know Claire Foy's been nominated for a lot of things. John Lithgow got nominated for a lot of things. But one person that hasn't gotten nominated much for that show, who I think deserves it a lot, is Matt Smith.
Yes, he's so good, and you just want to hate his guts, and it's so
you hate him one moment, and then you appreciate why he's being such an asshole.
The part, I think, one of the moments of it, and we'll move on, is when he had to go to the school. He talks about putting his son in the particular school. You figure out more of his backstory, and they just they touch on his backstory. I think maybe 2 episodes, and not even the full episodes, and it's such it's so good to see that because you're literally supposed to hate this character. You're supposed to hate this guy as you watch the show. And then they drop these things and they're like, hold on, wait, he's not actually not. And then the last episode comes and it just, some stuff happens. You're like, holy shit. Yeah. I can't hate this guy. Like, it's very good. And I definitely suggest it.
I would say if you want to just like a taste of why this show is awesome, I'll recommend one episode to watch, which is the Gentleman's Boat Tour. Forget the title of it.
Oh,
but that is such a very good, just like overall arc in one episode.
That was a great episode, and I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did show like episodes kind of like that because they you relive a little bit off of the focus of the main character, which is only the Queen, right? There's other people that are not equally as important, but like definitely important, especially the fact that they kept talking about, the king that gave up the crown, her uncle, and that guy and his entire relationship is just so vastly important and so vastly entertaining for me. So that's The Crown on Netflix. Please go check it out. And if you do check it out, I'm sorry, because you're probably going to be out of commission for like 2 weeks. So I apologize for right now, but when you watch it, tweet us and holla at your boy. So that's what I've been watching. I'm super excited to talk about this movie. It's called Game Night. It stars Jason Bateman. It stars Rachel McAdams, Jesse fucking Plemons. Literally amazing people. I would say if you haven't seen the movie, I would pause for right now. We will be spoiling it. So we're going to take a quick break, come back for a full episode and our full spoiler-filled review of Game Night. back. We are here. We have Mike. I'm Brylan. My name is Warren. We are here to review the full spoiler-filled section of Game Night, starring Jason Bateman, a bunch of amazing people. From the IMDb, it says a group of friends who meet regularly for game night find themselves trying to solve a murder mystery.
Ooh.
Ooh. Spooky. Written by Mark Perez. Director is by John Francis Daley. There's actually 2 directing credits on here, too. Johnathan Goldstein is the other person.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
So I'm excited.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
One more time?
They both wrote Spider-Man Homecoming.
Interesting.
I did not know that.
I could see that.
And also Horrible Bosses, who also starred.
Yeah,
Jason
that
Bateman.
one makes more sense.
Yeah.
And Vacation. And Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
No way.
Yeah.
They're a good writing group.
I know. I'm looking at his work. That's awesome. So I'm excited to talk about this movie. I'm going to toss it over to Blewett. How about your boy? Some chat with me about Game Night.
Yeah, cool. Quick couple overall thoughts. One thing I'd love to applaud this movie for is like the art direction it took. The like micro drone footage they had was awesome. And like you don't think a like dumb comedy would have a distinctive art style, but this totally did. Every time they needed to zoom out, the entire environment looked fake until they zoomed back in and you could see that. And it looked like you were seeing a game board that you were moving pieces around rather than like a set. They also did a bunch of like terrible mid-2000s type graphics. The color grading was really weird on this. It was like, at least the daylight scenes were super yellow, and that gave like a very weird vibe to it. The best thing that I can compare it to, if anyone remembers that television show CSI, it was pretty big back in the day. They did this one run called The Miniature Killer, where this guy would leave like a miniature of a crime scene for them and taunt them, and that super reminded me of it. And in fact, it further drove it home when the end credits scene, which was frickin' brilliant, like they actually had miniatures created of like the scenes and like the plan for not Todd to like be able to win back his friends.
That model of Jason Bateman and the single tear coming out of its eyes.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Was amazing. Now I just put that together. That means he lives through getting shot because he was in the end set credit scene. Just put that together. This is a revelation right now. So yeah, it was like overall you don't expect this from a stupid comedy, but they had this really cool distinctive art style, which like I would love it if more movies did this. I think we're going to talk about more during the plot, but I think this movie did a great job of marveling it and just taking another genre and latching it on to the main genre. You have like the main thesis of it, and then we're going to supplement it with this other completely random one. And it really shone through.
So let me start off by saying that I know that when they opened the movie, the music, they had like a strange sort of video game-esque sort of score, or at least kind of a couple of those songs that he was necessarily using. And you see this when the movie, like literally when I think it's like a black screen, that's like the first thing you hear. And it's like I think I kind of got like I don't think it was like a Pac-Man or just like a video game, because the movie opens up and they're playing like charades and stuff like that. But then after that, like near the end of the movie, it kind of comes back. And then also during, I think it was like near the, like sometime in the beginning of middle of the movie, it was like that big chase in the mansion. It was also having like some small kind of hints of that too. I thought that was fun, especially like much more like we were talking about this is a movie that's just a comedy, a R-rated comedy that they are having fun with. And for the fact that they had a nice focus on the music. The composer is his name is Cliff Martinez, and I just take a look at, he did a bunch of work, a lot of different places. Some of the ones here's like the Drive soundtrack, which I think people probably enjoy a lot. He actually did some work on that. So I was super, super pumped about that, and how the music really kind of tied not only from the characters, but really kind of tied into the comedy. Brylan?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool how casual this movie was. That everything seemed very laid back and easy, and it's and everything just like flowed really well. It was like actually put together really smoothly, so everything kind of just like made sense as it went along, even though it was very like you've seen it before and everything. But it was still, it's cool to see like a group of actors get together and they're in like a fun story with fun events, and they just have, you can definitely tell they're just having fun with one another as well, making this movie and being these characters. And it's something where the comedy definitely is like one of the shining points of this movie, is that the comedy is kind of like a nice mix of like adorable and cutesy versus gross out gore as well. And I think one of the like perfect moments that actually explains that is when Rachel McAdams shoots Jason Bateman, and she's trying to take the bullet out of his arm, and they're all just going back and forth, going bleh, bleh. And yeah, and like you see all this blood and stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's pretty. It's got like that right amount of gross, but also at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny and stuff. So it's good that constantly throughout the movie they have these moments that actually just blend that really well together. So that's really what I thought was a really good part of the film.
I just love that part. Also going off of that point, Brylan, of they didn't like, oh, I want to do this. Like the bit that she does with the fact that, hey, I can't touch my phone, so I'm just going to use my nose to scroll up on the iPhone to keep like to look at the instructions on how to sew up your wound. And she's like, oh, what's this? What's this? Oh, I think it's a bullet. I think it's the bullet. Oh no, that's bone. That's
Yeah.
That absolutely killed me. The fact that they used wine to try to disinfect a wound, I was absolutely done at that point.
Nice pivot.
I love that. Love that part.
I would say my favorite comedic choice was the dumb blonde friend. Like, I will say this, he had no redeeming smart moment, which was great. Too often you see these idiots have like the one savant moment where they're like, oh yeah, and I can do this. He didn't. The entire film he was dumb, and it was great. He was just so stupid and aloof the entire time.
Yeah, even when he got something right, it turns out really stupid as well, like with the Fabergé egg.
Yeah.
So good.
And like the fact that, you know, what was it, like, I think I'm falling for you. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, I'm kidding. Are you kidding? What do you want me to say? Like, that's perfect. He never got over that hump, which I thought was unbelievably funny. And then of course, I think Brylan's favorite part of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dude, Jesse.
Love Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons knocked it out of the park.
Oh my gosh.
This is like an amazing. This could be like a turning like at role for him, and just like people want him for like a lot more things, because he has this deadpan delivery that is just like a nice mix of creepy and just like sad at the same time. He's just a sad guy. And it's he's that guy. He's like he's the epitome of what you expect that guy that's like your neighbor or something, where he looks at what you're doing and sees that you have a party. He's like, oh, cool party. And you're like, you don't want him anywhere near your house.
Oh yeah.
A police officer who like always wears his like uniform. It's like,
Yeah.
he's still wearing it.
Why is he always there?
I don't think you've seen the episode just yet, Brylan, but when you get a moment, Jesse Plemons stars in a Black Mirror episode.
I heard of that.
So this character is very much close to that character, just a little bit, like not quite, but he does a lot of things that made that character so like prominent, and it made it so that episode so good. So it was refreshing because I didn't know he was in this movie. So already, because I didn't see him, I was like, this is weird. I like this choice. And then the slow, like the shtick, and that just kept going and kept going until like the crescendo of it. It was just every time that he was on screen, I was like, he stole the movie.
And then Gary's like the typical guy in this type of movie that you expect to be like the bad guy or be a creepy person. And even though he comes off creepy, he's not. He's actually a really good guy that's just had his heart broken, which is the amazing thing about it. And I mean, just how he spins everything on them, even though he's in the middle of this whole crime thing happening at the same time.
So good.
Is brilliant as well. And just being able to see the map that he laid out of how he actually created that was awesome.
I would have to disagree with you for a little, Brylan. He did have that shrine in his room.
To his ex-wife. I mean, that's heartbroken.
No man's perfect, but that was a little bit of weird.
That's a little.
It might be just the phase. And all he needs is people to play games with.
He didn't go full heel, though, which I think everyone was expecting that. Oh, yeah. And Warren, I'll say this.
Like, what was more creepy, like him having a picture of them on game night or the shrine to his ex-wife?
Oh, damn, that's a good call out.
Because that picture was fucking hilarious. Like, they would think of that like he took a picture of their game night and framed it on their wall.
Yeah, definitely the friends thing.
I guess it's been like, well, I think it was the wedding thing because that was like a year or some change. That was a long time for him to still have that.
I could see that. He still wore the ring. But
okay. Wearing the ring is different.
He wasn't taking it well. We know that.
Yeah.
The friends at game night though is very creepy. Oh, you don't have pictures of your friends?
Yeah, that was bizarre.
That's some of your best moments.
I will say this:
I warned it, pattern.
And I didn't know that he was in this movie. Even so much as when Brylan was posting those like screenshots of him in the movie, I was like, "Oh, this is some arbitrary other role." I didn't know that. I'd seen the trailers, and I still didn't know that character existed, and I was pleasantly surprised.
So good. Oh man, and like I know Brylan, he called it out, but we talking about the kind of comedic moments of. I don't think I've seen. Maybe like one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but I don't know if I've seen such a better sort of end credit sequence of how he set this up because you can follow the red thread for seeing his video footage of him how he's going to jump over the car and like perfectly sliding on the car to
so perfectly.
Yeah, not so perfect.
Yeah,
right? He's practicing, but it's like those sort of things, and I think it also ties into the point where Mike had talked about earlier. They didn't need to put that in this movie. I mean, I felt like watching this movie a little bit was like, okay, this is like a scary movie, right? But not quite detailed of a scary movie. But then you start seeing some of the technical elements that they put in it, the music, the lighting, the sets, and the fact that they like literally gave you all this because they thought it would be kind of funny. I mean, I definitely commend them for it. It makes it such a more enjoyable movie because one of the most boring scenes of the movie, right? I don't want to sit there half the time and see a bunch of names being like scrolled up. So they at least change that up a little bit. I thought that was pretty cool.
So Marvel does that like on every one of their films, and they have like they basically have a cutout of part of the movie and then zoom around it. Like they did it in Black Panther.
They always have like some type of motif, like if the movie was a comic book.
Right. And they have a splash page essentially. And so it's funny because like they made a couple references to the MCU in the film and then also had the MCU type
reveal.
No, not the reveal. They had the MCU end credits. We were literally just talking about it. My brain just shut off. I also like to say that they kind of married the comedy with suspense and a thriller. And I want to talk about that for just 1 second. That I think much like we saw with, and this is a crazy comparison, but go with me for a second. Much like we saw with Get Out, there's a lot of similarities in between like setting up a joke versus setting up something to keep you on the edge of your seat. And so I think that this movie, and we could talk about the plot in a second, and how that went back and forth. But this movie did a great job of basically having you never believe what was real and what wasn't. And so for that, the jokes kind of hit harder for me because I didn't know if the next thing was going to be something serious or it was going to be funny. And then so once something goofy happened, there was a bigger setup on that. And that's a very Marvel-y thing where they really bring up a secondary genre in their films to kind of cut the fat away from, let's say, a standard superhero movie, you know?
Yeah. What's also really cool is like how even the smallest role in this movie had at least one substantial moment. Like they're talking to the doctor at the beginning and she's just given like a regular prognosis until she says, I'm a doctor that wants to treat the whole body. And then starts going into his brother and just asking more about his brother and like when she should go over to meet him. And just eventually he accidentally just hooks up his doctor with his brother
so
for
good.
The future. It's
so
just
good.
like a very clever scene. Or that scene with
Bateman's
what's her name? With is it Cindy Peretti?
Chelsea Peretti.
Chelsea
Peretti, where she's the
Murder She Wrote.
Yeah,
the Murder She Wrote.
Yeah,
like either owner
employee,
or secretary,
and she's just like got a bullet hole in her head and just sleeping and shit. It's hilarious.
And I love that moment right there, especially with the Chelsea Peretti character of Chelsea Peretti Peel, maybe, who knows? Anyways, she's sitting there. You don't quite I didn't quite know if she was really dead. Like the actors, like the performers didn't or not. And that's like we're getting to this kind of oh, that's even better because now it's like they kind of like pulled it off. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And I love that because you like at one point, and I know we're gonna talk about the plot, but I had no idea where this movie was going, but I was along for the ride, and it was awesome.
I will say this: I think they did another like kind of spotlight on the comedy. They did a perfect job of, well, this is kind of plot related too, but weaving in A, B, C, and D plots together, and I think their casting was great. Like Bateman's deadpan still has not worn its welcome. For me, like I still find that funny. Arrested Development came out a decade plus, 15 years ago, and it's still Michael is just awesome. Michael Bluth is amazing, and he plays it in every freaking role. But like, it's fine; it still works. I think that the B and the C plot, both like other couples were cast brilliantly and had very funny their own like storylines. They had their own unique jokes and storylines that they could also weave into the A plot.
Winston from New Girl is always awesome.
Yeah, like that. It's amazing to watch that detailed writing where you can weave so many things together and still find them very funny.
Yeah, I love I know we're going to talk about the casting, but the one thing that I enjoy, like besides the fact that him, like the Winston role, I can't remember his name in the movie, but the fact that he was bringing up and doing like the Denzel.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. He did the Denzel before we get the whole thing of his girlfriend like had sex with Denzel when they were broken up, and that was this huge thing. They were kind of freaking out, and then the hilarious thing was. It was a guy who looked like Denzel Washington. And I was just dying. Like, are you serious?
The nose gives it away. The nose. Gotta look for the nose.
Did he say he was Denzel? Well, I mean, he was Denzel.
He didn't say it, but you know.
For a moment, I thought it was like they used like de-aging effects on Denzel and had him at that gas station. I was like, because I just like kind of like had to squint a little bit more because I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, this a movie did not have enough money for Denzel. Like, no way. Yeah. This movie probably cost $40 to make.
Getting someone close to Denzel and then playing with that as a joke, it was like, it's just very clever.
But I love that, and again, I love the fact that you brought this up because we talk about these moments that build like a suspense or a comedy, right? That was a really tough moment because that's a real moment of, she had sex with him. She had sex with another man that broke the relationship up, and that was tough in this comedy role, right? And that's what he's freaking out. And then finally they reveal. That reveal is another comedic moment of, that's not even Denzel Washington. And then everybody else is going to like enjoy the laughter with that. That was pretty cool. Going off of that deadpan, I really enjoy because the only thing I've seen Jason Bateman in before this was the Ozark. And he has a very much deadpan in that, but drastically serious. And so I love the fact that you don't know where he's coming from. And I think that's just another way, just a testament to his acting ability.
Yep.
So let's talk about plot.
We can do that. Do you want to start?
Yes.
Sweet. I thought it was awesome how they just kept you guessing the whole time. Like, it can't go overstated the fact that at no point could you actually pin down where this movie, every single plot twist they introduced made you rethink how it was going to go. Like, from the start, you know, you knew, I've seen a trailer, so I knew that, like, it was, you know, stuff was going to go slightly wrong. But every single time they're like, oh, we got this. We know what's happening. I was like, okay, I wonder how they're going to like make this funny now. And then it would pivot and completely change to something completely random. I was convinced that Not Todd was going to be the weirdo in the end, especially when he revealed his whole master plan. And then it turns out there's another player. Like, they even said it. They're like, oh, cool. Some random thugs show up for a random guest appearance in a third act. Who, by the way, let's get into this right now, Bryland. I loved Michael C. Hall in that role. I'll give you this. I thought the whole like plane shootout thing was kind of dumb and like a weird resolution. It was like a weird spot. They had some good jokes.
It was very like, I mean, it was very like a paint by numbers, like thriller ending, I would say.
Yeah.
That you would expect a comedy is kind of like parodying that type of genre in a bit.
I would not call that guy getting chopped up in the plane blade.
That was just funny.
Well, that was Raiders of the Lost Ark on that one.
I found with this movie the comedy was so good that the plot was kind of just very secondary for me in terms of like attention. I was like, yeah, they're moving from next set piece to set piece, and it's like, oh, crazy funny moment. And I was enjoying that ride that I didn't really care about what was going on. Actually,
I thought the plot added to the comedy. I don't. If this movie,
plot, I mean, there were some neat twists in it and stuff, like having his brother be an absolute criminal was great.
Yeah,
and not just be like the big shot big brother or anything. The whole thing with like the Corvette Stingray was fantastic.
It going under the plane was freaking amazing.
You missed. Yeah, I know. I like the.
But I think I think the rich people are crazy thing. That's brilliant.
So good.
That was amazing.
Well, that was a long payoff. Like, he's kept on saying it in the first couple of minutes of the movie, and then
like there's fight clubs.
An hour in, you get the payoff on that joke. No, Brian, I was going to say, what did you think about Michael C. Hall?
I mean, he was there for like 30 seconds, and he wasn't really that good. And I watched some Dexter, so I actually had to look at the credits to see who that was. So it didn't really matter to me that he was there.
I'm glad he's not a lumberjack anymore.
He just came over as like a standard like bad guy you would get in like a James Bond like adventure movie. So that's what it felt like, was like that just evil supervillain out of nowhere. And so that's where I kind of felt underwhelmed by like the whole Bulgarian and revealing the Bulgarian, and then I thought the stuff with the rich guy was just much better.
Yeah. The casting, I think, was on point, but I agree with you on that aspect. I would say the casting was awesome. Michael C. Hall can play that character very well. There was just almost no material, and like you said, it was like a paint by numbers like thriller ending.
Well, do you think that they did that casting on purpose to put him knowing that his character was from Dexter, and that's like a kind of like an inside joke?
I think it goes along with like the whodunit mystery game type of thing, because I think that was an appeal to Dexter. I watched a couple episodes, I think. I've
never seen it, and I've literally never heard him talk. So I think it's kind of funny because I saw this movie, and this was the first time I actually heard him speak. And then I see him, he pops up in The Crown, and I'm like, well, this is the Michael C. Hall show. Okay, like, all right, I guess I have to go watch Dexter. So I think it's kind of funny that he pops up in two things that I literally haven't seen him since like years ago. But I thought it was kind of funny. I was just hoping that we'll have like more because they kept doing it more. They kept doing it more. But going back to that part of this movie's like plot and comedic sort of cohesion really felt like more like The Hangover. I remember the first Hangover when the story starts little to slow down, something crazy would just change and kind of happen. And then right when you have like not even a lull, right before you get to that lull, something change happened. And that's when we get like those twists in the story that always kind of keep you engaged and always kind of keep you there. And you can see that, everything's going to work out just as fine as it normally does when they they go into Gary's house. And then the whole blood from the sleeve goes and that drips down and gets on the dog. And then that gets all on the wedding thing. And it's like, come on. Like at that point, that's a plot point because they literally had to go there and he's doing some reconnaissance and that like literally physical comedic kind of element of this, like the blood splattering everywhere is just ridiculous. And the fact that everything was white in that room, I think that was like,
that was well done.
Just finding his password is Debbie. It's just like the dumbest password, but it makes perfect sense.
The fact that he's like trying to wipe the dog, you all called that, right? You get like, ooh, that's something important. He's like scrubbing it. Like, ooh, that's something important.
That like Debbie t-shirt.
Really?
No, not the Debbie t-shirt, but him wiping the dog. That little section was in the trailer. The Debbie t-shirt reveal was freaking amazing. He was just like, nah, I'm done with this. Like.
I love how he's like, fuck this. Oh, it's my turn? Oh, looks like I lost. Let's go. So good. So we're excited. We're pumped. I want to talk about, a bit of the like lasting impressions. Would you recommend this movie to people? I'll toss it over to the Mouse of the South, Brylan, and say, hey, what's some lasting impressions about game night?
I would say definitely go see this movie. It's a lot of fun if you're ever just looking for just a movie that's not going to be super serious or think about a lot. I mean, it's a really fun movie and it's a really fun ride as well. And it is one of those, I don't know if it's like a groundbreaking comedy, but they definitely add some stuff that's a little extra to it that makes it very unique on its own. So yeah, I'd definitely watch it again.
Yeah, I will call this as a palate cleanser of a movie, of a film that's all the other stuff, especially award season. Like literally this time of when movies are released, you remember this at least until Deadpool came out. But any movie that's being released between January and February was a time to die, really. Yeah. So really nobody was putting out any good movies at that time for a very, very long time. Deadpool broke it. Get Out broke it. Like I get it. But it's awesome that this kind of movie that can come and it's like a stereotypical R-rated comedy, but then they still at least put a lot of work into making this movie like intellectually funny. I really like the fact that it kind of, you can turn your brain off a little bit and still kind of think of those ways, because the first joke they set up, they pay off at the end of the movie. And I think that's like a very long lasting joke with the doctor. So I think that was very funny. Even the other joke that they're talking about, how they proposed and how she told him that there's a bun in the oven. I'm like, that's cute. Come on, that's really funny.
They were cute. They were a cute couple. Honestly, they weren't an annoying faux romantic dramedy type thing.
Yeah, I think it was very natural.
Much cuter than Rachel McAdams. So.
Right. Yeah. I think it was very natural, and I would definitely say definitely go watch this movie. I know there's a lot of good cinema that's potentially could be coming up, but if you want an adult dark humor movie that you probably don't really get nowadays in the theater, I think it'd be pretty cool to go watch a movie. Blew it.
Yeah, I think you said it best. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, it's a palate cleanser. After award season type movies, Black Panther, definitely not like, it's definitely a little serious. The next couple films,
a little lighter than Annihilation. A little lighter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely way lighter than. But like, yeah. Like, going in and watching Annihilation for 2+ hours, and then just like having that craziness unfurl, and then going in and just watching like a comedy that was also well done. Like, it wasn't like a stupid comedy. You could turn your brain off a little, but like you shouldn't, because there was a lot more there to enjoy than just your standard like, I don't know, like Judd Apatow film.
Yeah.
Which
So
are good in their
like
own
the
right,
second
but
viewing,
like,
there's more stuff to pick up on.
yeah.
Just because you know the layout of everything now.
Right.
It also had a solid message, and I like the fact, much like you talked about this Blew It too, that the characters were normal people. Like his brother is still a piece of shit because he sold out people's names on that list and made a lot of money in the end. So like that didn't change. You know, the blonde, you know, dumb guy didn't change. Like a lot of these things didn't change. They're still going to be competitive. And that was one of the things of, you know, the Bateman and the Adams character. They were super, super competitive. Like they're still going to be like those people. So that's nice because, you know, I think that was also a testament to say, feel free to don't be upset of being yourself.
He almost didn't even have like.
I like how they were just talking about their how their child is going to be better than everybody else's.
So good.
Yeah.
And a guy just died. The other one you just knocked out with a extinguisher. And I love the fact that you have the Chandler's character goes, I was joking all the time. Hey, get up. Nah, I'll fuck with you guys.
That'd be cool.
That's definitely a move to the audience. That was great.
I will say this: it's interesting. Yeah, well, now that I think about it, none of them really change except for like Bateman. But even he kind of just does like a 360 throughout the movie, where he's like, "Oh yeah, we want to have kids. I'm freaking out and don't want to have kids. Yeah, I'm fine with us having kids. This is awesome."
Yeah, but he also like built that confidence over his brother.
Yeah,
right.
Which was the goal of his character. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which he says that I taught you a lesson. Fuck out of here. No, you didn't. You're just a terrible human being. And with that, we will conclude our review of Game Night. And we are the Down in Front Podcast, the official podcast of downinfrontpodcast.com. Brylan, where can we find more of your work?
You can find me just waiting patiently by the mailbox at Twitter at Bryland, BRILUND. Just wanted you to reply to me, that's all. To see what's up.
So creepy, bro.
You can also find me on Instagram doing many movie reviews. I just posted one of Red Sparrow, so definitely go check it out. And when I'm not in California, I am the host of the Gamescast, twitch.tv/Down in Front Podcast. Tune in. Warren cannot stop playing Monster Hunter. It is his life now. He's going to go pro.
I'm sorry. I'm going to try to broadcast, but I play like for 8 hours. It's just too much. I just try not to do that. Hopefully we can
make a living doing that.
Yeah, not a Monster Hunter. I need some sleep. Blew It, the Shredder, Michael. Where can you find more of your work?
You can check us out on most major platforms at Mayanus Music or Mayanus Band. Nothing really too new there. We've been super lazy as it goes. You can also write emails to me at Jesse's Bloody Lady Shrine.com. Again, that's Jesse's Bloody Lady Shrine. It's not too weird. Not too weird at all.
.com. Not too weird. Not too weird at all. .com. And with that, we are the Down in Front Podcast. You can find a lot of our work, so definitely check out our website. That's where we're going to have a bunch of links as well. Definitely huge shout out to Blew It here for putting on a crazy SoundCloud. I mean, I was playing some of the music for my mom and my friends in Jacksonville and my friends in Orlando, and they were like freaking out about the Black Panther theme, the 808 beat. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. So definitely go check that out. Check out our more of our work. We would say for all of our patrons, we want to thank you. We're going to support you as much as possible. We've been putting out all of our episodes early for you, so definitely kind of keep an eye out for that. And if you definitely want to become a patron, you can sign up and join our brand new Discord channel where we're going to be just hanging out, kind of chatting with us. We talk about, next reviews, our award season, and literally everything else that we really can't fit into the podcast. So definitely become a patron, come and help us out. Anything and everything is beautiful, just like an Arizona iced tea. For the low price of the price on the can for 99 cents, help us out. And that's also one of the first tiers of becoming a patron. So check that out, patreon.com/downinfrontpodcast. We will see you soon. We love you. Check us out on Instagram, on Facebook, literally everywhere online. Search for downinfrontpodcast.com for Down in Front Podcast. And we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.